Today we're going to talk about schwa. It's a central vowel, and the central vowel is the most common vowel in English. It represents a neutral tongue position, so your tongue shouldn't really move up or down or forward or backward too much when you say this vowel. In English, when people don't know what to say or they're thinking, they use the sound This central vowel is similar to that sound. It's represented with two different symbols. When the vowel is stressed, the symbol typically used is this symbol. This symbol is often called a wedge. But when the vowel is unstressed, and that's what we're talking about today, this symbol is usually called a schwa. For example, in the word but, there are two syllables, but. The second syllable, but, is stressed and is represented with a wedge. But the first syllable is unstressed, and this is represented with a schwa. The wedge and schwa are very similar. The most important distinction is that the wedge is typically used in stressed syllables, and schwa is usually used in unstressed syllables. So, when we're talking about word stress, any of the vowel letters, A, E, I, O, U, these can become schwa if they are in an unstressed syllable. For example, the last and second to last A in Canada, or the second O in photograph. Also, when the stress changes in the word, like Canada to Canadian, then the position of the schwa can also change. For example, like I just said, Canada, the schwas are here, and Canadian, the schwa changes. Or something like photograph and photography. We can see where the schwa changes here. When the stress shifts, the position of the schwa can shift. Another important thing is that the schwa vowel in a word is sometimes so unstressed, the pronunciation is so small that it can disappear. Like, for example, in the words camera, camera, camera. Camera is three syllables, but often the middle syllable will disappear because it is a schwa. So, for example, camera becomes camera too. Same thing happens with words like chocolate, chocolate, right? That's three syllables. But the middle syllable here is a schwa, so it can be dropped, and then we move to two syllables. Chocolate, chocolate. Some native speakers use both. Some native speakers tend to use just one pronunciation more than the other. If you want to sound a little more natural, if you drop that schwa sometimes, it sounds more like a native speaker. And the last example of this type of word I'll say is different. Three syllables, but that middle schwa sound, if we drop that, then different becomes different. Different. If you use these pronunciations and you listen for these types of pronunciations, it will really help your English to sound a little more natural. This is word stress, but perhaps schwa is most difficult in sentence stress, when some words in a sentence get stressed but others don't. Those words that don't get a stress, often the vowels become schwa. In an English sentence, like this one, he takes a bus to school. We can say there are two types of words in this sentence: content words and function words. Content words include things like verbs and nouns, and also adjectives and adverbs and a few other types of words, but these words carry most of the meaning of the sentence, and that's why we call them content words, and they're usually stressed. All right, they're usually said a little stronger than the other words in the sentence. The other type of word, the second type of word, is called function word, and these, on the other hand, include things like articles, prepositions, and these words have a more a grammatical function. They are grammar words, and that's why we call them function words. Now, these words are typically unstressed. They get no stress. And so they're usually pronounced as a schwa in a sentence. And it's important to understand that when function words are spoken as just a single word, the one word, like for example, to, then we don't use a schwa. It's not in a sentence. So we'll often say to. But as soon as you put this to into a sentence, it becomes unstressed. And the vowel u becomes a schwa. So to sounds more like t. And when this happens, we say that this word has two forms. It has a strong form, to, and a weak form, t. The weak form uses schwa. This weak form means it's in a sentence and it's not stressed. And most function words have a strong form and a weak form. Okay, so if we pronounce this sentence with all strong forms, he takes a bus to school. That's not so natural, right? Natural English is going to have stressed and unstressed words in a sentence. So we need to change some of these to schwas, to their weak forms. For example, a becomes a, and to becomes ta. So strong forms, he takes a bus to school, becomes he takes a bus to school. He takes a bus to school. We do this, we reduce the pronunciation to schwa because English is a stress-timed language. The number of stresses in a sentence is really important to the rhythm of what you're saying. And this can be very difficult for non-native speakers to get comfortable with this schwa sound. Schwa alone is not so bad, but when we add schwa together with linking and other things, listening can become quite difficult. Hopefully, you'll be able to become a little more aware of schwa when you're listening, and maybe even use more schwa when you're speaking. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. Bye.